Hey everybody. So what I want to talk a little bit about today is that concept of integration of skill. So one of the things we talk about in the self-defense context quite a bit is that you have to have well-rounded skills. That means I have to be able to fight at any range comfortably. And it doesn't mean I have to be a world champion kickboxer or boxer, as well as a champion in judo, Greco-Roman wrestling, and a BJJ black belt. And have done 15 years of tactical shooting and Filipino martial arts. Right? I don't have to be an expert at every range, but I need to know enough so that it doesn't matter where I find myself, I have some competence and ability to deal with what's going on. Leading on from that, and this is what I want to talk about today, is the idea of integration. So it's one thing to have a whole bunch of different skill sets that you have kind of pigeonholed or have put in a particular place. But what we see in fights very often is that ranges change very, very quickly and aggressively, and fights are dynamic. Okay, what that means is if you don't actively train how to transition from one range to another seamlessly, in and out and jumping between ranges, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because a lot of the time it's those transition points where you will get stuck because they don't feel as familiar. So, if I can punch and I can strike really well and, and I can fight in the clinch and I can do that well and I can get to the, on the ground, I'm good, but I've never transitioned from my striking to my clinch to the ground and back up, or vice versa, or, even skipping, going from striking straight to the ground, back up. However you want to put it together, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because you will get caught out in those transition moments. Now, some really good ways of training that are systems that do that actively. So stuff like MMA, stuff like Kudo, any system that incorporates, even if you just do, Muay Thai and then you do a little bit of wrestling and BJJ, working from your striking to a clinch to the ground, and incorporating strikes throughout. And the same thing applies when you're going from weapon range to empty hand range to clinch range to ground. So integration of skill is a really, really important concept, and it completely changes how you do things. Okay, so if you're an expert in one or two things, really look at how you can put those things together. If you're an expert, or even if you're not an expert, if you're, if you've got some experience in a range of skills, start looking at how you integrate them. Again, in the context of the way that we practice Krav Maga, really you want to look at weapon range, so projectile range, into maybe a blunt or a sharp object type of range, like a stick or a knife or a baton or something like that. And then striking range, and that can be from kicking range to punching range to elbows and knees range, to clinch, to grappling in the clinch, to on the ground, and everything that in between. Okay, so start practicing integration of skill. It's a super, super important element of your training, because you will get caught out in those transition moments if you don't train them regularly.